Now, if you watch this channel, you will know that Piers Morgan is most definitely a defender of everything that's on the right. We know that. But it's so good to see Piers Morgan picked to pieces, so much to the point where he has to end his show to be able to shut down talking points that contradict exactly what it is that he says. In this video, we are going to see British political commentator Owen Jones take Piers Morgan to absolute school on the ongoing genocide that's taking place in Gaza. As usual, let's watch the video in full. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts towards the end.
I thought the Israeli military response was a direct response to Hamas's official spokesman saying on camera for the world to see, we're going to keep trying to do more and more October the 7th.
Did you think this about Rwanda?
You keep saying what about it?
No, it's not what about it. It's about consistency. What happened in Rwanda? What's the difference?
I'm not going to talk about every conflict around the world.
No.
You've asked me a direct question. You've asked me a direct question about the first month in which Israel bombarded Hamas in Gaza.
No,
well,
they
killed
murdered innocent civilians.
They killed lots of civilians.
Thousands of innocent
Well, it's not murder if you are doing a proportionate response to a terror attack.
But it wasn't proportionate. Do you accept that?
I kept asking what is proportionate. Right? I have now concluded in the last few months it's gone way past proportionate.
But this is the thing. You spent months...
You don't blame Hamas for what happened in the first few weeks.
It was in the obvious...
Do you not blame Hamas?
The war crimes, I blame them for their war crimes.
You don't blame them for what Israel then did?
Every war crime Israel committed
So
is on
Hamas built a massive tunnel network. They then launched the worst terror attack on Jewish people
has no legal
since
standing.
the Holocaust. Right. And when Israel inevitably responds the way they did, that's not on Hamas.
There is no legal basis for what you just said. You cannot say when you commit war crimes, I was made to do them. Every war crime, legally speaking, that the Israeli military
But I don't think what Israel did in the first few months was a war crime.
But that's like saying...
It was a defence against Hamas doing it again.
But you wouldn't say that about the 240 Palestinians who'd been killed by the Israeli military in the months before 7th of October.
But
so what's the difference?
Israelis have also been killed throughout the 75-year conflict. Well, you can go back over 75 years and you can say each could respond to the other.
Okay.
But they've always done it on a much smaller scale. Do you accept that? And do you accept what Hamas did on October the 7th was on a scale totally out of kilter with anything that had happened on one day before? Do you accept that?
Yeah, obviously they killed
and you accept that by
more
building
Israelis on that day. But what Israel has done since is infinitely worse.
Fine.
Infinitely worse.
By building the tunnel network, do you accept that Hamas protected themselves at the expense of the civilian population?
Israel wiped out civilians.
Do you accept that?
Israel attacked civilian targets.
Do you accept that Hamas knew what was going to happen and built the tunnels to hide
Benjamin Netanyahu.
Do you accept that part?
Again, it's irrelevant to the point of Israel attacking civilian
that Israel knew exactly, that Hamas knew exactly what was going to do?
Benjamin Netanyahu, in the first week, was given a list of 100 targets by his general, and he said, that's not enough targets, I want 400, and he said, destroy their homes. That's what he said. This was revealed in an Israeli newspaper. Now, the idea that they were, the reason that they slaughtered so many civilians in that first week was because of tunnels is a lie, Piers, and you must know that's a lie.
No, it wasn't my question. My question was, do you not think that when Hamas planned this attack and carried it out, having spent 20 years building this tunnel network, they then hid in the tunnels and let their civilian population take the inevitable bombardment that was going to come back when they committed the attack they had committed? In other words, Hamas sacrificed their own civilian population.
You're trying to deflect from Israel's direct responsibility.
You're saying
we know Hamas committed war crimes. Everybody accepts
so
that.
when any country,
Israel is guilty of the war crimes it perpetrates.
So to be clear, then, your position is if a country has a terror attack on the scale of what Hamas did to Israel on October the 7th, any response by that country militarily is a war crime. Well, is that your position?
Is
that your position?
If you kill civilians through either disproportionality, legality, or intention. Israel made clear...
It's not a war crime.
Yes, it is. Israel made clear from the beginning...
It's not a war crime.
Israel said from the beginning they were fighting human animals.
You don't understand international law.
Yes, I do understand international law.
You don't.
A war crime is...
It's not a war crime.
A war crime doesn't mean if you're attacked, you can break international law and the norms of war. Okay. It means you have to abide by the norms of war.
It's not a war crime for a country to defend itself against terrorists.
Israel committed war crimes from the very beginning.
We will establish the truth about the war crimes they committed.
Do you think that Israel wasn't? Do you think Israel wasn't committing war crimes from day one?
I don't know. Because they wouldn't let journalists in. I don't know what they were doing.
They did it on camera, Piers. They did it on camera in front of the whole of the live.
But you think that any military response is a crime, and that's not true.
That's not what I said.
It's pretty much what you implied.
The reason this has happened is because Israel has been committing war crimes for generations. Literally, the Nakba, with 15,000 Palestinians.
And yet, every war that started in the
as they were driven from their homes.
75 years of the conflict, every one of the 5 wars has been started by.
That isn't true.
Well, who started them?
Do you think in 67 that's true? That's
each of the wars.
Absolutely not true at all. But we're talking about the Palestinian people
Just
here.
to be clear,
are you saying this? Are you saying the Palestinian?
You think all 5 outbreaks of war in the 75 years were
talking about the Palestinian people
started by Israel?
The Palestinian people didn't start any of those wars.
Arabs started the wars.
So just Palestinians just get lumped in with Arabs.
Did Israel start those wars?
Did Palestinians start any of those wars?
Did
Palestine? We're talking about Palestinians here. We're talking about the war on the Palestinian people. Yeah, but we're talking about the war on the We're talking about the war on the Palestinian people and their right to exist.
Is Israel ever allowed to defend itself?
Israel needs to become a single state from the river to the sea in which Jewish people and Palestinians have equal rights. That's what it needs to do. And until that happens, there will never be peace.
I believe in a 2-state solution where they all get the same human rights. On that, I agree.
Okay, but the reason the war crimes, which you keep erasing because you keep
I want to see the evidence of the war crimes. So when it comes, I will be the first to lambast them.
They did them on camera.
But I prefer due process on these things.
Yeah, but when they declare to the world they're fighting human animals and they're going to, from the very beginning, they said...
I would call Hamas human animals.
They didn't say, they said civilians.
Right,
they said the residents of Gaza, and they said they were cutting off, at the very beginning, water and fuel. Is a deliberate siege of a deliberate siege of a civilian population, is that a war crime, yes or no?
Listen, if you're asking me, do I agree with the occupation? No.
No, I'm talking about the siege. They announced the siege of Gaza.
No, they shouldn't have been able to do it.
Is it a war crime or not?
Probably.
So you accept they committed war crimes from day one then?
I think the siege that they enacted because they were able to is indicative of the wider, bigger picture problem of the occupation. I agree with that.
So you conceded the point then. You've conceded the point that this doesn't begin, obviously, in the 7th of October.
Of course not.
But then...
I've never said that.
You would never say...
I think you should watch my show more often.
Well, I've got life...
It's good to have you back.
Life's too short.
It's good to have you back. But honestly, life isn't too short for you to be better informed about what I do on my show.
Well, you don't accept Israel's committing genocide.
You throw out all these generalisations which make me think you haven't watched it enough.
You don't think Israel's committing genocide?
You'd be better informed if you watched my show more often.
Do you think Israel's committing genocide?
As you were about our friend Bob Violent, who it turned out made you look a right chump.
Well,
anyway,
you look more of a chump when you won't accept Israel's committing genocide, Piers, which is really easy to do. You could just say it now. Is Israel committing genocide?
When the ICC says it's genocide, I will say it's genocide. So that's what we have.
That's the only time you're waiting.
That's kind of a legal process I'm waiting for.
OK, so you will never...
But we've run out of time.
OK, so...
It's good to see you.
If Hamas... You don't think Hamas has committed war crimes either?
Come back again soon.
OK, fair enough.
Hamas committed war crimes.
But you've not waited for the ICC to make their case?
No, because Hamas broadcast it on their own GoPros.
So have Israel.
We're committing war crimes.
It's literally on camera. Thousands of war crimes.
We've run out of time. Literally, the studio has run out of time. Okay, sure. However, I would love to have you back more often. Sure. I enjoy...
Honestly, Piers Morgan is such a clown. And if you didn't pick up what just happened within the last couple seconds of that video, Owen Jones asked Piers Morgan, has Israel... Is what Israel doing war crimes? And Piers said, we have to wait until the ICC come out. But then when Owen says, has Hamas committed them? He said, well, yes, they have. Well, hold on. I thought you was waiting for the ICC to come out and label it as such. But the reality is, someone like Piers Morgan, especially a lot of these people that are on the right, but not just people on the right, we're even seeing people that are on the left as well. You know, the one issue where the left and right, the majority of them can come together and actually have an opinion. We literally saw that it's not a question of this when it comes to a lot of these people, especially people that are in positions of power like a Piers Morgan. They don't care about that. They literally are going to side with Israel. And who knows the reason as to why? There's speculation as to why that's the case. That's out there. But that's exactly what happens. Now, as I always do, I like to do my research and from some of the things that it is that I know. International organizations like the UN and Human Rights Watch say Israel has committed war crimes in Gaza. This includes attacks that killed many civilians, as well as destroying hospitals, schools, as well as homes as well. Israel's military has been accused of carrying out indiscriminate attacks, meaning that they didn't do enough to avoid harming civilians. And that in of itself is banned under international law. Now, forcing almost all people in Gaza to leave their homes is seen as a war crime as well. And it's a crime against humanity And there's groups such as Human Rights Watch that back up that point and back up that claim. Furthermore, destroying Gaza's healthcare systems and targeting medical workers that are looking after and supporting civilians that have been harmed within what's going on in Gaza, that has been called a war crime itself, and it's against humanity, according to the UN. Now, Amnesty International and others say some of Israel's actions could amount to genocide, which is the most serious crime under international law. But let's just have it right, guys. We don't need anybody to come out and speak to us and tell us that XYZ, this is against international law and this is a genocide. We know that this is a genocide. There's no way that this number of civilians and everyday people getting wiped out from their own land, and we're going to try and sit here and act like this isn't a genocide. We already know it is, but Piers Morgan and the likes and the ilk of the Piers Morgans of the world, they're only just going to have their opinion, plain and simply, because these guys are the worst of the worst, and they align especially with people like a Benjamin Netanyahu. Crazy, crazy stuff. Really good points by Owen Jones, and this was quite an interesting exchange between the two of them. I will be releasing more clips from this exchange and giving my point of view, my thoughts on it. But let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section down below. While you guys are down there, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button purely for the YouTube algorithm. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys in the next one.